Hi everybody, welcome to Talk A Latte. On this week's episode, I have a very special guest, the one, the only, the tallest building in all of Kitchener-Waterloo, Elixxirr. Welcome to the show, Elixxirr.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Yes, we just rescued you from the cold because I had you waiting.
Yes, had this little number tucked up in a bonnet.
For those who might not know you or be familiar with your artistry, how would you describe yourself?
I would just describe myself as a creative, firstly, but more so somebody who's just like in a long process of discovery. Drag has just been like, just like a window for me to like kind of start figuring out who I want to be as a person in my life and creating connections. Because like, I was like a cadet. I was in cadets for a long time, and then I had all those friends and all those connections, and then when I left and I moved to KW, like I had to start fresh. And I was already doing drag at the time, and I had no idea that there was such a big community because I had lived in Brantford before. That's where I went to high school.
Okay.
And there was nothing there. I was like the only queen there except for one older queen who did drag like once a year.
Yeah.
So there was not really anything to get to.
Right.
So coming to KW and doing drag here is a big thing.
That's awesome. That's honestly such a journey. I feel like so many people can resonate with that. I know drag was definitely not on my radar until I left fashion, and you know, being an entertainer was just something I was naturally drawn to, and fell into drag from being on the costume designing and choreography side of drag, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's how it happens for a lot of people. Like, I was doing cosplay in high school, and then I was like making my cosplays hand sewing, I was making doll clothes and all that. And then I saw season 8 of Drag Race with Kimchi, and I was like, oh, cosplay and drag. So I decided to like try makeup, and then like I just dove headfirst into drag, and I was doing it I think from 2017 onwards.
Yeah.
So I was doing it through high school. I got like bullied and flamed a lot for it, which sucked because I spent like the first year in high school under the radar. So like when I started my account, I forgot to make it private. So the second that like I went into school that day, everybody was whispering my drag name at me in the halls, and I had no phone and I couldn't change it or make it private, so I got launched to high school.
You know what? You already had them bitches talking about you from the get-go. That's honestly...
Foot on them jocks' necks.
There you go. Scare them a little bit. What is like the story behind your name? Like, was it something that has some significance to you in your life? How did you land on your drag name?
See, that one's like interesting because it's a little redundant in a way. Like, when I was in high school, like I thought that whenever I started performing, because I was about to drink for a bit, I figured that I was going to have to like be drinking to be comfortable in drag, and that it would be like a liquid poison sort of thing. Like, she's Elixxirr and she takes liquid poison and she goes out and she serves. And then that just never ended up happening. Like, I never ended up becoming the drinks girl. Like, it's for like the first 3 years or so, it was almost nothing, and now it's like I'll have one, like maybe 1 in 5 shows, and it'll be like 1 or 2. But it's not something that I like do a lot.
Fair.
So the name is just kind of a cute name now. And I've turned it around so that doesn't have to be the reason anymore. I say that it's 2 X's and 2 R's because I like to make things very difficult.
Hey, you know what? Keeping them guessing and making them work for it, I mean, that's always iconic, right? It's how you last in people's mouths for a little bit longer. Making them figure it out like a puzzle.
I love to do that.
What has been the most exciting thing in your life and career so far?
Oh my god, that's a big one. There's definitely a few. Like, I definitely think that doing Toronto Pride was like a huge opportunity for me to like get out there and be in front of such a big stage. But I'd say like more so the most important show to me, or like the biggest show to me, was February, I think, 2023. And I'd done a show with Kimora Moore and some girls from London, and my Nana came out, which my granddad had been gone for a few years, and she was starting to like step out more and figure out like how she could move towards the end of her life without having regrets about shutting communities out, because they were very religious. So she started coming out to a few shows, and she came out to that one, and like Kimora made sure to like spotlight her, and it was so sweet. It was the last show she went to. She like passed a week later. But it really, I think that was the most important moment to me ever. And I think it's gonna be hard to top that in drag, even if I was to like get on Drag Race or something, because like the fact that what I was doing with my art was able to take my like Nana out of her like nursing home, oh my god, and come all the way out and support, and not just me, but like the other artists too. Like she had like posters of other artists in her room. So that, I think that's the most important thing that's ever happened to me in drag. It's very near and dear to my heart, because as important as that was.
That's pretty revolutionary, and that like hits home so hard. So that's beautiful. Like, thank you so much for sharing that.
Like, I know that my grandpa would have been proud as well. Like, when I was younger, I was like 8, and he was like driving me around while I screamed about how I wanted Lady Gaga boots, and he wasn't questioning anything.
Yeah.
But I think coming up the way they did and being religious the way they did, and of the generation they were, I don't think my Nana was quite ready to come out and see what was going on until he was gone, because she didn't really have anyone to answer to other than herself and her own relationship with God. So it was great that it happened that way, but I know that they're both like looking down and they're proud. So
I'm really happy. That makes me so happy to hear. I'm such an emotional person. I'm gonna truly try not to cry right now. Okay. Let me compose myself for a minute.
Sorry,
no, it's
so
totally
raw.
good. That was so awesome. Like, that's beautiful. Like, it hits home for me in like several ways, myself. So I appreciate it when I hear those stories from other people. It makes me feel like the things that I've been fighting for in my career are worth it, and it makes the art so much more special, because it's so much more than just the person. It's a real legacy, you know what I mean? And there's something so iconically beautiful and like, I want to say like almost like dark and twisted, but in like the best kind of way, And I think that oxymoron that exists within this way of life is so, to see people thrive and come through the other side and have healing just for being connected to it really proves the value of what we do as artists, And I think that is something that is difficult for a lot of us when we're going through this kind of blind, having that reality to tether us, and the spirituality that comes from the faith within ourselves and our family and community that drive us. That's so beautiful. Like, I really hope that everybody gets that experience, and it's unfortunate that not everybody does, but hearing that more and more people get to have those experiences and that type of connection is honestly so beautiful. Like, I wouldn't understand to begin to fathom what would it be like for me not to have that connection with my own son. You know what I mean? Like, watching Drag Race last night, we were watching an episode where they had the Queen's family members come visit, and they had to put them into drag, and my son just like literally looks over at me and is just like, that's gonna be you. I was like, okay, I love it. What would my drag name be? He's like, but you already have one. I was like, damn, I'm such a little sassy bitch. What did I do?
Well, damn. I mean, pass it down.
You know what?
Pass it around.
Exactly. Exactly. How and when did you discover your love for performing?
It honestly, like, very early on, like, I liked to perform, and like I liked it earlier on when I didn't realize how flamed I was gonna get for it. So there was a period where I was very like that, and then very not like that, and then I came back around full circle.
Yeah.
So like I would be younger, like wrapping myself up in like fabric and creating like dresses and dancing around, and I think when I was in the 3rd grade, I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
I had a Lady Gaga themed birthday party, and I invited all my friends, and I had a tinsel wig, and I performed Teeth in my living room with my girlfriend there at the time. And then she didn't want to go to the Halloween dance with me anymore, and I was so confused. So I was like, why? Why do you want to go?
Excuse
Like,
me.
what do you? I thought it was a fantastic performance.
It's like, I just shut down House Boots. What are you complaining about in the store?
You know, and then the kids started to talk, and I was like, ooh, better shut that down for a little bit. And then high school, I didn't even do drama because I was so afraid of sticking out. And then I thought, like, oh, I'll do like drag in private and forget to make my account private, and then immediately everyone figures out, and I was like, well, damn. I was trying so hard not to stand out in high school. Like, I was wearing all my brother's hand-me-downs, and he was like a regular straight man.
Yeah.
And like I was trying not to stand out, but then like I'd have like headphones, and you could hear like Slipknot playing through, and they're like, why do you not match how you look? And I'm like, because I'm trying to stand out.
My hometown is Reading, England, and it's the home of punk and rock in the UK.
Like, with when Cobra started like dropping her stuff, back in like the Good Puss and You Know Me era.
Yeah.
I like discovered her through like my friend Crystal Lake and Lilith, I believe that they both use.
Okay.
But one of my first like drag friends up in Oshawa, and they introduced me to Cobra, and I started trying to like popularize it as much as I could. And like all the girls are doing Cobra. Like I feel like she's finally gotten around.
She really has.
But like I do love sticking to something, even though it's a little off the beaten path. Like there was people telling me like she like mumbles over a track, and I'm like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
But you don't get it though. And eventually it's going to be performed by all of the Slay girls. And now it is.
Literally. Like, first of all, a lot of like the most iconic club music comes from like this underground like rave ballroom kind of community, and a lot of her music is actually really like thriving
That's
in there.
where it hits for me. It's basically like almost electric house. Spoken word electric house almost.
Oh yeah. Out of her latest releases, what do you think is like your standout moment with her right now?
Okay, I was definitely like Brand New Bitch stays up there.
Yeah.
But I was definitely off this last EP really into Tequila and Feminine Energy. Yeah. Just very solid songs.
Yeah, really. Feminine Energy for me, when I first heard that song, I'm like,
I was like, alright,
so
here we go.
I was just like, anytime I need to feel like I'm that bitch, that's literally what I put on. It's my happy music. It's my happy music right now.
Like the second that Suck dropped, I put a mix together and I performed it like days later because I'm like, well, when the queen barks, you know.
Literally. She let the dogs out, so might as well. That being said, like, what influences have shaped your artistic style, and were there specific moments or people that really pushed you towards your path that you're currently on in drag?
I feel like definitely for me, like, there is a huge inspiration from where I started, which was watching like the earlier seasons of Drag Race, and more specifically Chi Chi DeVame was my biggest like inspiration to get started. As much as Kimchi like got me into it because of cosplay reasons, I was always impoverished. So seeing Chi Chi get on and do her thing and do so well on such a small budget, that is what's pushed a lot of my drag, where if I had gone like the buy outfits route, I might not have the same style as I do now, where I just accepted the state that I was in, and I was like, okay, you're making everything. Like, everything that you're putting on your body in drag, at least 90% of it, you're making yourself. So that is, like, the big push for me. And then, like, I have, like, fashion inspiration, obviously, from Mugler is a huge one for me.
You're singing
like,
all the right notes for me right now.
Huge
So.
one for me. I love to play with vinyl. I love to play with shapes and, like, that old, sleek, gothic look that he was going for. Specifically, like, I think it was 96.
Yeah.
Like, that era. And that mixed with, like, Alexander McQueen and being a Gaga fan growing up, which, speaking of which, the new album is very exciting for me.
Your aesthetic and energy are really unique. How would you describe your creative process when putting together a performance or a look?
It's very crazy, very eclectic. I do have it down to a bit of a science now, but normally, like, a week before, I'll start, like, putting together the mix, or I'll try and get the song sent in. I do like to curate an experience, so I do love a good mix. And a lot of the times I will hear a song, that's how it starts, like, I'll hear a song that I really want to do, and then I'll design a look around how that song makes me feel. And then I make sure that the finished product of what I've drawn for the look is something that will also apply to a lot of other moods as well for later. And then I'll make my look, and I will get my mix together of all the things that go together for that vibe. And then the night before, normally I'll put together my bag. I have, like, a big Reebok hockey bag. You could fit a kid in it. You could fit, like, a small dog or large dog in it. Definitely at least 50 of those Canadian house hippos that they used to put on the TVs. But yeah, I have one of those, and then I'll have, like, normally 2 or 3 outfits. They're all done on hangers with all the pieces that go with it, and they hang on a piece in the back, because there's, like, a part in the back to hang. Yeah. And then it's got, like, some side pockets, so I get everything packed. It's very organized. It has to be. And then the day of, I will shave, shower, do some skincare, and then I take about an hour and a half to get in my makeup, and then I'll leave myself an hour to, like, put my hair up if I need to, or, like, just get my things together, like the last things for my purse or whatever, and clean up my makeup station. Yeah. And then, I just get it all together and get to the gig, get dressed there, and that's the process.
What has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
Definitely just, like, the amount of community that I have around me at this point. Like, just, I don't know, like, it's kind of crazy, like, how small the circle gets when you're in something niche like this, because, like, everyone I talk to now is in the drag circle. It's very closed in, but it's also very comforting because everybody is of like mind. Yeah. So I'm definitely just very proud of where I've come in community and how far I've been able to push my drag, because definitely what I'm capable of now is what I imagined when I started drag, and I didn't think I was ever gonna get there. Because, like, they didn't even have my shades when I started. Like, there was dark, and then there was 7 shades of ivory. So, like, just having to, like, mix my foundations and do everything from scratch, and there was no tutorials. Yeah. And it was, like, really hard. And, like, the only tutorial out was, like, Naomi, and it was, like, big dreams for a starting queen. So there was a lot of work to, like, figure out how to do everything. Like, thank God for Kine and James Mansfield, because that's definitely made a lot of it possible. But I'm just, like, to some, I'm definitely just proud of how far I've been able to get, aesthetic-wise and community-wise.
Speaking of challenges in life, what has been the biggest challenge for you in your career?
For me, it's definitely just, like, maintaining stable ground. Like, it was hard for me to start in drag because my godmother was very abusive. So it was, like, hard to start in drag. Like, she came at me with a hammer at one point. So I had to, like, move all my drag to my best friends. So when I was, like, a bedroom queen and I was doing online competitions, I was doing them out of my friend's house. So then when I finally got my crap back together and I was moved up to this area, I had like a level of control. But then I like came to realize how many promoters were just dangerous, terrible people, and how little trust I could put in them. And when I moved to KW, I ended up moving in with a drag manager, like, for me.
Nice.
And he was also very abusive. So I moved from one abusive situation into another.
Right.
So I like just maintaining control over my creative process and what I'm doing has been the bigger struggle. But for the better part of a couple of years now, he's been out of the picture. I've been freelancing, so I feel like I now completely control my art, my bookings, and what I do.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm coming over that lump of a lack of control, for sure.
I'm glad that you're in a better situation. I hear too many horror stories about that all the time. I can relate in other industries, not necessarily in entertainment, but like I've definitely seen it. I've definitely witnessed it, and it's pretty scary because like a lot of your livelihood depends on these people and the amount of control that they can.
It's a power imbalance. Like, you have to assume that it's going to be very common in a community where people feel disenfranchised and where like they don't have power.
Yeah.
That a lot of the people that do end up in positions of power in the queer community, whether that be bar owners, the well, whether that be management, whether that be really anybody in the position of power, it's going to be more common that there are bad apples, because if you've had the power removed from your entire lives, once you get a taste of it, people get out of control. So it's definitely the biggest realization and struggle to come over for me in drag, was realizing that I cannot put my full faith in anybody who has any sort of power over me. And that I need to control my own bookings and destiny and that type of thing.
I feel that. I'm personally still recovering from a lot of trauma based in that myself, which is why I feel like I've been so slow to start here, but we're working through it. Have you ever had moments when you have doubted yourself, and like how do you work through those moments?
Definitely. Like, I feel like everybody has moments of self-doubt. But I just have to like step back and remind myself that like I'm really just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really just trying to put my art out into the world, and there's nothing to get like super stressed about, because at the end of the day, like, I am literally just performing. Like, I did not start drag for any long-term purpose. I started drag to have fun. I started drag like years before Drag Race Canada was even a thing. So just reminding myself to let, while it's a goal that I would like, it's something that I am perfectly comfortable waiting a long time for.
Yeah.
Because my main focus is just doing drag for the original reasons that I did it for, which was to have a community and to have some sort of, I don't know, like lasting stamp or some lasting effect that I don't feel that I would have if I was just not creating art.
Honestly, most creatives can really resonate within that sphere. It's a very common thing for people to find themselves intertwined with, in terms of wanting to be able to just create, foster community, and have the ability to like have some sort of build up and legacy that has a lasting impression on people. Because I mean, for a lot of people within our community, like, we've grown up having to be so, not necessarily like, we grow up on such different sides. Like, we can always be invisible, but we're also ostracized for being so different, you know? So I think it's something that I feel a lot of people would actually resonate with. So I don't think you have to challenge or correct yourself in that. I think you said it very eloquently. With the scene that changes so rapidly, like drag, how are you staying relevant and fresh?
That's a very exciting question. I'm definitely rejuvenating myself this year, and in a healthier way, because I definitely feel that in times past, my idea of rejuvenation was a few months of not eating properly and coming out a little too thin. And I've definitely come around the corner realizing that that's not how I want to present, and that looking back at videos of myself like that, I'm not happy with it. It's crazy because like when I was in high school, trigger warning for use for anyone, but I definitely had quite a struggle with that in high school. So there's like times that I can look back on, if I was like look back on of myself even like doing drag looks where I was at like frightening weights, and I thought that I entirely put that behind me. So come to find out, like looking back at like summer of like 2023, I did it again, and I had no idea that I had gotten like that. So definitely I'm like, okay, how do you come into a new year, 2025, come in fresh and do it in a way that has absolutely nothing to do with your weight? Because we're happy with that. Definitely happy being a fit girl. I've not had in a few years now. So for me, it is bigger concepts. Like not putting out quite as many dance costumes because I have a lot. I probably have made myself over 100 costumes at this point. And I like 70% of it was dance looks.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely this year trying to make like one dance costume for every 5 big looks.
Right.
So I did get called out, like Sasha Tees was doing a bingo and she called me out last minute to perform, so I brought my 3 newest dance looks. But my last show, the Valentine's Day show I did with me at one time as well, I brought out 3 new really big looks, and that's what I'm trying to move on from here on out, is like, every show I do, at least 50% of my looks for that show, whether it's 2 or 3, if it's 3 then I'll do 2, and if it's 2 looks then I'll do 1, where it's a new big look that has something to do with that theme. So for 1, definitely big looks. 2, teaching myself new dance performances, moves, practicing new hints.
Yeah.
This is like definitely new for me too, but I just want to change it up on all fronts very aggressively. So coming into 2025, I'm staying fresh by just like throwing myself back into my craft, reigniting the creative process. Because I go through months where I can not create anything, and then I go through periods where I can't stop creating. So while I'm in this phase, I'm doing as much commission work as possible to get my art out there so I can see it on as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And also working on what I'm presenting, so it's not just dance costumes in different fonts.
If you could give yourself advice to your younger self, what would that advice be?
Definitely keep pushing. And also, like, don't worry, because you're going to end up exactly where you need to be. And it's going to feel like a curl joke for a long time. But you're going to get there. Like, it's going to feel very stupid. You're going to be moving from, you're going to do 10 moves in 5 years. Like, you're going to feel unstable for a long time. You're going to encounter a lot of people that are going to try and take advantage of your kindness. And you're not a bad person for giving those people a chance until they hurt you. Stay on the path. You're going to get to exactly where you're going to need to be. You're going to have the house you want. You're going to have the career that you were looking for. You're going to have the friends that you should have had a long time ago, and you're going to have the drag that you were aspiring to. So there's no rush. The me that I am now is still pushing towards the final goal. So it's there, it's in reach, just don't quit. Because younger people like to think about that a lot, so don't quit.
You even say, having you say that reminds me, but like, it makes me think like, I wish you were the representation I had when I was younger, you know, like truly, that's quite beautiful. And it hits so much deeper than I could ever express to you. How do you balance trying to stay true to yourself while adapting to the industry and the audience's expectations of you?
It's all about finding the times to show different aspects of drag. So waiting for shows that are themed or waiting for opportunities to show different aspects. Like I definitely, for me, I was very alt inside in high school, but I didn't have the chance to express that outwardly because I was trying to fly under the radar, especially in school, and I did not have the skills in makeup or drag to push myself where I wanted to look as like an alt person. So it's definitely about thinking about those times where it's necessary. Like I do a lot of shows that are swoop alt themed or emo nights or this or other whatever where I have the chance to bring that out. But I also try and sprinkle some of that darkness into a lot of the drag that I do regularly.
Right.
So it's about taking elements and still working it into what is going to be most accepted. Because unfortunately, audiences, judging panels still don't fully understand the alternative spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a little hard to break what you're doing into a room.
Yeah.
Especially for me, because the alt that I was into was like metal and scream.
Yeah.
So without a moment that calls for it, it's really hard to break it into a room of people that are like there for brunch to watch girls to twirl to a Pink Pony Club. So, you know, there is definitely a balance of picking things that you know that the crowd is going to eat, but also picking things that are close to you.
Yeah.
Like when I started doing Cobra, I would be making $50 to over $100 on numbers, and Cobra was getting me no more than $20 or $30 every time I performed it for like almost a year. And the crowd loved it, but they didn't know what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I was determined, and so I brought it out like every few shows. I do it, one of them as a number, very constantly until people started to get it.
Mm.
So you gotta stand on business. You gotta stand on the things that are personal to you, but you also need to understand when to peel back on those things to allow yourself room for success, because not everybody's gonna understand exactly what you're doing all the time.
What do you find is like what people misunderstand the most about your drag that you wish people would be more enlightened to?
I feel like I do a pretty good job of selling my vision and what I'm capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest misconception is that it's easy for me,
Mm.
because it definitely is not. Like, a lot of people would be envious of like how put together I am or how tall I am or features that I have, but like there's a lot of struggle underneath getting myself into drag, performing in drag. Like, I'm very open about this at shows, especially on bad days, but I'm very vocal about how I have very bad chronic pain, that I really struggle to get through the days sometimes because my back is insane, my like thighs, my joints, like I have like a ligament disorder. So I have like inflamed water sacs everywhere where the joints should be.
Mm-hmm.
So everything hurts all the time, which is why I'm a huge toker. And I come in and out of that. Like I try to take 3 months off every year just for clarity, so I don't forget who I am underneath all the smoke. Because for like there was like a good 6-7 year period where I never took a break.
Yeah.
And I was smoking like 10 times a day, or like 10 tokes a day, and just putting away ounces a week. And it was from a lot of trauma. Like I went through a lot of stuff and it kept me level, but it was also because a lot of the pain is from fibro, which is linked to your mental state.
Mm-hmm.
So the more stressed I was, or the more anxious I was, which I was for a long time because I was living in abusive situations,
Yeah.
my body would hurt more.
No, I feel
So
that.
especially when I'm at a show and I have persistent stage fright, it's never gone away in over 5-6 years of actually performing. I've been doing it for 7, maybe performing for 5.
Right.
The stage fright doesn't go away, and so a lot of times the pain doesn't either.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm performing, like sometimes I'll be on, and other times I'm a little bit more slow and sluggish, and I cannot turn it on. And it is very difficult for me
I understand that.
to keep it together at shows sometimes.
Yeah.
So definitely not easy for me. If girls see me like shaking when I'm standing for pictures, there's a reason for it. Maybe let me lean on you a little bit.
No.
I'm probably hurting. But that's like more the big misconception. I don't think that people misunderstand my drag. I just think that people misunderstand what it takes for me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I put a lot of work into my ability to create garments and to be able to make things for people, like all different types of people, so that once I'm not able to perform anymore and my body clocks out, I can continue creating my legacy through what I sell to people.
Yeah.
I was definitely inspired by Isis in that way.
Yeah.
Because I know that she had a similar story of working for a long time in drag and then taking a little bit more of a performance backseat to put out absolutely stunning couture looks.
Yeah.
And it kept her name in the game for a while before she got on Drag Race. So I think that that's definitely like a good place for me to set sights on, is perform, perform, perform. I might never stop performing. I might turn into a park and bark girl. But yeah, no, definitely just trying to set myself up for long-term success.
If you could change one thing about the scene, what would it be and why?
If I was to change one thing about the scene, I think that people should talk more. I think that people should listen more as well and seek to understand. I think that we are a lot of hurt people in this community that have very convoluted backgrounds. So I think that a lot of us are very quick to jump at people and create unnecessary dramas and fight when we should be coming together. Like, I just think that if you've not made an effort to speak to somebody and have real conversations on both ends, nothing should be made public.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel that the community as it is now, and the generation that's coming in, is having a bit of a hard time with that. Picking your battles, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not so much that those battles don't need to be heard, it's more so about how much peace are you willing to give to situations that could have been spoken about.
Totally.
And I think that if the community is able to like come over that hump, it'll be a much better place. Like, I feel like we're already doing really well.
Yeah.
But I also feel like everybody should be a little bit more comfortable with each other. Also have the ability to share space with somebody that you don't like. Because there's always going to be an asshole in the room or somebody that you don't appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do not allow yourself to be uncomfortable in those moments and to be around people that you don't enjoy, then you might block yourself from a lot of incredible opportunities just because you don't want to share a room with somebody.
Yeah.
And they might not even be the person providing the opportunity. Like, the amount of time I've seen sisters lose out on a gig because there was somebody in that gig that they didn't like. They're not paying you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not signing your check.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you have to pay them dust, pay them dust. But go get your coin.
Literally.
Have some fun.
They ain't paying your bills, don't pay them no mind. If your performance style could have a theme song every time you walk into a room, what would your theme song be?
It's definitely, I don't have to think about this one. It's Crystal Water is 100, like, not 100% pure love. Oh my god, why did that come in first? Maybe I do need to think. I did mention earlier, Star. But Gypsy Woman, she's homeless. Favorite performance song, and it's definitely the song that, like, plays for me a lot when I'm, like, getting in drag, when I'm thinking about things. Like, it really does describe it. Like, I've very much come close to homelessness so many times because of what I do. And just that idea of, like, a girl who's struggling, but she gets her makeup on and she goes out and she sings for money. That is very much me. That is very much what I've come from. So, favorite performance song for me, definitely. And it's also definitely like a theme song for me, I would say.
Honestly, I love this.
What is the most obscure inspiration piece that you've ever pulled from?
Okay. This one's really fun. I have two answers for this. I'll try and keep it brief. But the first one was Ha Ha by Charlotte Didgery.
Okay.
It was a recorded track, and I used the live version, but it was a live, like, recorded track of her in the studio with this, I can't remember the other guy, I think it's Bolas Pupul. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But,
I'm sure one of the trolls out there will correct somebody.
It's a funky house beat, and she is just, like, giggling and maniacally laughing over it, but then switching between laughing and then, like, sobbing and moaning and crying and then laughing again.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled that, I think Le Grand Dame when she did her talent show, when she did her, I can't remember if it was versus the world.
Okay.
I think she was also pulling from that, like it sounded like it.
Yeah.
But I took that and I mixed it together with the laugh track and some other stuff for a mix. And the entire October last year, every show I did, I had this blue laughing jester who was just laughing and pointing at people and crying and sad twerking. So there's that. And then the other one is... I think it was 1996 at the DC Christmas tree lighting, and Patti LaBelle was supposed to be performing, and her background singers were not appearing on the stage. I think what happened was the president and his wife, the Clintons, were there, and they were coming on after her. So when she went on stage early because they fucked up her cue. And her background singers couldn't get on stage because the Secret Service was stopping them because she was on stage and they weren't, and now they were going past the president. So she goes out and she starts singing. She don't know the words to the song. She's trying to sing This Christmas. Background singers are not showing up. She's having like a meltdown, but she's still like, she's just riffing and harmonizing and making notes, and she doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really obscure thing because I definitely don't even think it would have made it to the internet unless like some grandma was recording their soaps on VHS and just happened to catch that C-SPAN footage.
Yeah.
So she pretends to remember that didn't happen also, by the way. Like she's like, oh, I don't remember that.
I mean, come on, she's one of the original divas, so...
So yeah, I pulled that and I did the full video. I memorized all of the little quirks and all of her like facial movements, and I performed it in Windsor.
If you could perform with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Sasha Colby.
Yes.
Sasha Colby. Like, I'm sorry, like, I performed with Carrie Colby, and I think my heart almost stopped when I got to like go talk to her after, because I think the promoter for that show was like, nobody can talk to Carrie. And I would like stay out of her dressing room.
Yeah.
And I was like, so, but he had him like himself and his girlfriend. But anyways, after the show, I went to go give her a tip. She was in the dressing room. Hey, I don't want to come in or bother you, but here's like a 20. And she was just like, no, fuck that. Come in here. So I went in there and she was like, take that back. And I tried to give her like my bill, and she kind of like flicked it out of my finger. And she was like, no, take that back. And I was
like, bitch, I already have money here. Did you not see me collecting them coins on stage?
I'm like, I stopped breathing in that moment. I would give a liver to meet Sasha Colby. I got like this close to her at Toronto Pride that year that she performed.
Yeah.
But, like, to get to perform with her would be like a huge stamp. Because before season 8, before season 7, before All Stars 2, which were like the first seasons that I was watching, the very first queen that I ever saw was Sasha Colby.
Oh, she's
because somebody told me about Drag Race.
Yeah.
And I just looked up famous drag queens.
Yeah.
And the names that came up were Sasha Colby, because she had just won a Continental around that time.
Yeah.
And RuPaul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I went on a Sasha Colby deep dive. And then I went and watched season 8, and then All Stars 2, and then season 2.
Fair.
So, yeah, that'd be a big one for me. Like, she's an originator.
Yeah.
So.
I've honestly, one of my big dreams for drag and specifically is to join the Colby house.
So gorgeous, all of them, that whole house.
That's why I'm just like, girl, like I need to ascend there. Like, take me with you. Beam me up. I want to be a part of that.
Or to work with Amanda Lepore would be
Don't even.
insane.
I would probably piss myself if I met her. I'd shit my pants. I'm not even kidding. What is on your radar right now, and what's upcoming for you in terms of shows and projects?
Definitely making a lot of new looks.
Yeah.
That is on my radar. I have some new interesting projects coming. Some camp, some glam, some alt. I do have a couple shows coming up. I have on the 15th, Siren Square, I will be doing a show with Sasha Tees. I don't know if she's there. I think she is, but they're also running multiple events that weekend.
Okay.
So,
As
be
she
around.
does.
There's a show at Cinema Square on the 16th of March. It's going to be super fun. I cannot wait. I'm bringing some really big numbers to that, some cool new stuff. And then May 24, I'm going to be in Windsor for the Nuclear Meltdown show with Mina Gorgina. Mina is a very fun person who brings me out to Windsor every now and then. I love. It's going to be myself and my drag son going down together.
Yeah.
Although I'll take a moment to talk about my drag son.
Yeah.
His name is Dixon. Oh my god, girl, I'm getting tongue-tied.
It's all good. Take your
His name
time.
is Dixon My Pocket.
Yes.
It's a very, very fun name. He's a drag king son, super fun, like a bluesy daddy kind of thing.
Yes.
But yeah, we're gonna be going together. My drag son is my mom, by the way. So I am my mom's son, and my mom is my son.
That was a meta moment, folks. That was great. That was
All
fucking
these bitches
beautiful.
is my son.
That is fucking beautiful. You know what? First of all, if you ever get to see them perform, they do live music so well. Period. T. Done.
Singer.
Like really, truly, they do that shit. Like I'm gonna link a couple of clips in the description if you want to check them out, but I highly do, because that is like the old school English drag that I've grown up with, that I honestly really appreciate. What are your socials and where can people find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Elixxirr Official. That is Elixxirr, like the drink, but with 2 X's and 2 R's, because I make things very difficult and hard.
We got that from your son's name.
Elixxirr_official is my Instagram. I'm finally back to posting. I took like almost a 2-year posting hiatus. I did like 6 posts in the span of 2 years. I don't know why. I was like a full-on Instagram girly, and then I just stopped posting. I think it started when my Nana passed. I think like after that, I just had a really hard time caring about putting a post together.
That's totally fair.
But I'm back on it.
Good.
I'm posting again, and if anybody wants to see what I've been up to for the last couple years, it's all in story highlights.
So to wrap this up, what is a message that you want to send to the world and to aspiring artists?
I definitely would say, if you have a vision, go for it. It might take you a long time to get to that vision. You might feel like a fool while you're working towards that vision, but like, keep pushing. It's the same mantra I have for myself. Keep pushing. That time is coming. And if you care about something enough and you put enough time and enough effort into it, eventually you will get there. Even if the process isn't linear, even if it goes up and down, even if you were fly one day and then you're booger the next, like, just...
I'm a booger that morning and that evening, but on the in-between, we work it out. But thank you so much for coming to Talk A Latte. It's been such an honor having here, and I know so many people are going to resonate with your story and your journey and your art. I know I for sure do, like on some other level, and I think that what you offer is so beautiful and so needed. So thank you.
Thank you. I had so much fun. Thanks for having me.
To all of you guys out there, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Talk A Latte. In the next week, in a fortnight, we'll be with our next guest. But until then, make sure you hit the replay, you share, you follow, and you stick along with your own journey and your own path. And recognize that these artists are here to share their journey, to inspire you to continue doing what you need to do for yourself. It's always being about the best person that you can be for you every day. And if that's just okay, and if that's shit, that's all right. You will get there eventually. The point is to keep trying, be the best person that you can be for yourself in every given moment, and realize that there are connections and tools out there for you to utilize in order to make you reach your fullest potential. Until next time, guys, bye so much. I love you. Say in that case,
I mean, if you have hate in your heart,
really,
the good Lord knows where to start.
Oh, and what?
Katy Perry's right there.
Oh.
You know, Mona Lisa in season 17 was saying that she felt the presence of the enemy in her. That is insane. Well, you said that.
I did.
I know you putting your like lock on your door when you go.
Literally. Like, girl, the closest you got to the ghetto is Sacramento.
Yeah, kids do those windows up.
She's like, not here. Not here. Put my good pearls in the glove box. We're moving through.
I'm gonna say it right here on this podcast. When the divas go for a random country album, they're flopping. They've hit a creative wall.
Yeah.
And I think you know the other girl.
But when it starts to become like their entire identity, I'm like, she is literally from just down the street at the Caravan Park. You saw her on Sunday mornings at the boot sale. You be giving her some praises, calling her unique when she looks like she just rolled out of council housing. Honey.
Girl, no.
You're a treacherous girl. I'm like, I am not part mountain goat. I don't know why you got me going through these mountains.